Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation project in the subject of intelligence perspective in business and politics. We're Group B from Baku University, and the main topics of ours are foresight in artificial intelligence utilization to foster public service in the future. So our group is Abdul, Karim, Saleh, Gunawan, Wisnu, Pramudian, and Ramadhan Al Qorni in the intelligence perspective business and politics scenario planning. Next. So the introduction is the main organization that we discuss now is the government itself and the struggle to find a better view on the utilization of artificial intelligence, which is this matter is ultimately standing for half a decade. The government will consist with two different authorities. First is the central government and second is the decentralized government, which is the decentralized government has 34 provinces across the country. So let's talk about the urgency of this current government. The President of Indonesia and other officials were put an effort to emerging the issue of the artificial intelligence on the public. And many perspectives were here and made uncertain on the public point of view, which is this problem derives our group to a conclusion on the form of key focal issue. Next one is the key focal issue itself. So our key focal issues is, thus the government should shift to the artificial intelligence in order to giving much better services to the people. So this key focal issue was occurred due to many people in Indonesia were worried about the status of civil servants would be replaced by the automation machines, learning, or in another word, artificial intelligence. We know that advancement of technology has produced so many conveniences, but on the other hand, this reality could show a reality to come early than it ought to be. Next.
Okay, now I will explain about scanning driving force. In this section, there are three major components that make up the driving force. First, government, second, citizen social circumstance, and third, macro or microeconomy in which each driving force is followed by different variables. First, government. National and regional government we merge into one because each other has a continuity so that it cannot be separated. Why government? Because the central and regional government are a combination of executive institutions that regulate and implement laws, and they should be assisted with the rule of special agencies related to their respective fields, under the supervision of the House of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia, or DPR RI. Therefore, the use of AI is very necessary as a tool that can help public service that are grassroots in nature. So, national program. There are reference indicators set by the government regarding the use of artificial intelligence in the 2024 National Midterm Development Plan has made Indonesia more aggressive in maximizing the transfer of AI-based technology. Not only that, Bappenas together with the minister related to the issues of the transfer of function of certain civil servants to certain group with AI conducted a similar study. This indicates that the government has the same perfection of one institution with another in optimizing AI in public service. So, hierarchies bureaucracy. This factor is the basic determinant of why the idea of using AI has emerged in the public spheres. More especially, these issues began with many complaints from the public regarding the lack of maximum public service provided by the government, and this make people dissatisfied with the government's performance. Some say this is due to overlapping laws and very different regulation from one region to another, making it difficult for users of public service. This makes the government and its staff support each other for the development of AI in the field of public service, one of which is the representative and the PANRB minister who support the artificial intelligence will help accelerate the implementation of public service, which include e-service, community supervision, and strengthening the innovation ecosystem. So, central data equipment. The existence of a government movement in updating the tools used in the provision of public service is a breakthrough that can be stepping stone in accelerating the use of AI-based public service. This is an important factor, a determinant of following the driving force. So government money, the ability of fund for infrastructure development, especially in the IT sector by the government, continues to be given an increase. The Ministry of Communication and Informatics budget for 2021 is 16.9 trillion, of which 11.1 trillion is allocated for the ICT infrastructure provision program. So next, social environment. Apart from policies and the rule of the government, the Indonesian people are mentally ready for technological developments. By 2021, the number of internet users in Indonesia has reached 212.35 million people. This is because public acceptance of AI is getting bigger, and the development of AI has made people feel comfortable using the technology. Education. In addition of public service, the use of AI is also very necessary in the field of education, especially in the future. So, in the health field, AI development continue to improve even in the field of patient operation. So, the use of AI in security sector has also been widely applied, but in the managing traffic to defense and the state military. And next, economy. The availability of jobs play a role and an indicator in saying a person's welfare. With good welfare, the community will easily get easy access to the use of AI. So inflation is also an important variable to measure the level of people welfare. People wage, just like the previous variable, salary is also an important variable to identify people readiness to use AI. Government subsidy, apart from the state budget, the The government must also provide subsidies to improve public service in the use of AI. Here, next.
Scenario construction. In the blue color, there is 4 variable that is not have a big weak signal, and in the number in the green box were the variable which on the second stage, and the number with the yellow box were on the third stage, and the red box is the higher stage. So we begin with the explanation in the picture is that in the uncertainty stage, the author divides 15 variables into 3 collective main variables. Their 3 are referred to as key drivers rather than key focal issues that we discuss at this time. The 3 main variables consist of one, first, central data equipment or main data server. Second, government money or money from the government, which is where money in the government is also a part of things that are very uncertain and have a big impact on the continuity of the renewal of artificial intelligence technology. And the last 3 or third is security, where in this case the use of artificial intelligence is questioned by many parties because there is no adequate equipment in Indonesia. These 3 collective variables are the most uncertain and influencing factor of the key focal issue that we discussed. You can see in the picture that there are 4 quadrant parts to the scenario framework and the matrix, and all 4 of them are: first one is chaos, where this chaos is the part that explains what can be an obstacle or also possibility that affect the scenario. Second, beneficial. In this section, explain the cause and also what factor can encourage the existence of AI-based public service and all activities in the community. Third, challenge. This section explains the cause and factors that are a challenge for the implementation of a key focal issue. 4. No excitement. This section explains what are the cause and factors that cause stagnation so that no change occurs. From the existing structure, we can explain that we can determine how a prediction can be made, as shown in the image on the top left, where the height of a barrier also refers to the security sector, and this also includes the inability of government service to the public. The community, then on the upper right, there is an opportunity for public service that use this AI system, and also include every community being able to use AI in their daily activities. Then the bottom right of the image explains the challenge that the government is facing against the use of AI, which is still fairly moderate, and also includes how the government can provide access to all people in the use of AI itself. Then the bottom left of the image explains that existence that does not move or we can interpret with delay, which is where the people here do not have the ability to adapt to new technology, and this level is included in the level. In the metric of scenario framework, we have in a chaos tempo September of a narrative. We have September 1, 20. In chaos of a narrative have example, September 1, 2021, there are 6 major case data consent, consented by application users from the government in Indonesia. And what worries me is that the data is being traded on the international online market. And in a favorable of a narrative have a tempo November 2021 explaining that the government is trying to encourage the digitization of public service in all sectors by utilizing all available resources. And in a challenge of a narrative have thetik.com December 17, 2021, the placement of AI as a service to the frontline community is a form of generalization, but there are still many obstacles in its application. And the next one is in excitement of a narrative have Kilas Kementerian November 9, 2021, saying that there are still many people who are reluctant to change their habits when handing documents from what was previously done directly, but with no force not to do it there directly. So people need time.
Key actor. From the explanation of fourth quadrant above, it can be determined that the key actor who play a very important role in the formation and also determining the use of artificial intelligence is people's lives are the central and regional government as the main drivers of digitalization change and sector drivers of digitalization change and actors who have ambition to change the frontline public service system. So civil society is the case, the community also has a big role to play in keeping up with the time or not waiting to keep up with the times. Also, they take time to adapt to the use of AI. Next.
So we continue with exploration of application scenario. So we have four quadrant with the metric of implications and the options that we could take. On the metric implication, I will see the options that we could take and the implication from our choices. I would like to begin with the chaos scenario, whereas only one option remained there. That was to improving big data system and data security, with implication of increasing demand of public to using government software because of high performance. So the second scenario was favorable. This scenario has one option, that is to accelerate of digital processing based on AI. It will yield two implications. First, the decreasing of offline activity in the document processing. And second implication, there is a change in function of civil servants in the institution and the breaking of stratified bureaucratic barriers. So the third scenario was the challenge, which is these scenarios have high competency with moderate impact or security. The third scenario has three options. First is the restructuring the central and regional budgets. Second was conduct periodic training and digital public services, and third was focus on establishing digital infrastructure with three implications. First, the emergence of new interest in post formulations. Second was there is an additional budget for improving the quality of civil servants, and third was increasing nature's digital competitiveness. So the first scenarios, the last scenarios, which is in the government is incompetency, and in the security line is the moderate. Was no excitement. This quadrant, which has two options. First, the renewal of both rules for civil servants, and second was massive socialization regarding the use of technology in the public services, with three implications that follow. The first one is there are civil servants who are forced to retire early. Second is the location of civil servants in certain fields on a large scale. And the third one is the emergence of multifunctional civil servants. Next is the strategic planning. So the strategic planning, where in every scenario there is some weaknesses and threat on it. That is why our group tried to analyze by apply the SWOT or SWOT, which consists with strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. The first scenarios consist with the strength of the power of the government to be able to maximize hardware is very large, starting from the economy and also government institutions that are ready to maximize their existing resources. And the weakness is the lack of coordination, as well as the indication of corruption in the project where implementation will become homework for the government. So the threat is the existence of cybersecurity threats is the biggest stumbling block of the government. So that beside that, the more sophisticated hackers from abroad will become a big threat. So the last one is the opportunity. The existence of resources from outsourcing parties who are increasingly advanced in the country is an opportunity in Indonesia to develop big data and data center. So anticipation steps that can be taken are securing the first process data by disabling the computer to the cloud and starting transferring data, and after that updating the data center with more sophisticated devices. And the solution to prevent corruption in the project is that the government is obliged to provide periodic reports that are uploaded to the government website regarding all activities and also the budget. So the next strategic planning that we could take is in this scenario of favorable. So the scenario is favorable. The scenario favorable consists with same like before, the strength, weakness, threat, and opportunity. But the first is not very different from before. The power of government to be able to maximize hardware is very large, starting from the economy and also government institutions that are ready to maximize their existing resources. So the weakness is a little bit different. The stagnation of state operational costs is in certain fields for a long time due to transitional adjustment. So the threat is the emergence of a large unemployment wave if many civil servants cannot adapt. So the last one is opportunity, which is the existence of resources from outsourcing parties who are increasingly advanced in the country is the opportunity in Indonesia to develop big data and data center. So the next strategic planning was a challenge. Not so many difference from two prior strategic planning. The power of government once again to be able to maximize hardware is very large in very large scale, starting from the economy and also government institutions that are ready to maximize their existing resources. The weakness is the same from before. The stagnation of state operational costs in certain fields for too long time with the transitional adjustment. And threat, there are indications that the company's interest sabotage. This is the different one. The indication that the company interest sabotage in making civil service policies will be detrimental the civil servants itself. So the opportunity that have been hanging on the challenge strategic planning is the existence of resources from outsourcing parties who are increasingly advanced in the country is an opportunity in Indonesia to develop big data and data center. So the last strategic planning, which we name it no excitement. These have some of the difference from the strength, weakness, and threat and opportunity. The first one is strength. The readiness of the government in managing its administration, sufficient staff to socialize the use of AI. And weakness is the stagnation of state operational costs in certain fields for a long time due to transition adjustment. This like the three prior strategic planning. So the threat is their indication that the company's interest in making civil servant policies will be detrimental to the civil servants themselves. Not only that, the dual function of civil servants will eliminate jobs from other civil servants. So the next one is the opportunity. The opportunity of this strategic planning is the assistance of resources from sourcing partners who are increasingly advanced. The country is an opportunity in Malaysia to develop big data and data centers. There are, in this four strategic planning, there's no really bold differences between of those scenarios, but I want to go back to the favorable, because some of the favorable scenario, some of the things that I need to explaining about the anticipation steps that we could take in favorable is that can be taken are by providing job opportunities opened by the private sectors through investment, and the anticipation that can be taken to prevent the swelling of state operational costs is to regulate the state budgeting efficiently, so that it will not be burden on the state budget as whole. So the next anticipation that we could take in the scenario of challenge is that we can stop threats in the field of civil servant regarding labor regulations are by conducting regular public opinion polls in DPR or representatives to see the points of interest of each party and to anticipate weaknesses in the budgeting sector. The government must be able to regulate budgeting countries efficiently and also give priority to related programs. In the next scenario, which is the scenario of no excitement, the anticipation steps that we could take is the government is required to be more active and progressive, where in order to prevent threats to the interests of the company, the thing that must be prioritized is transparency in policy making at the central level, and for further threats, the government must be able to provide guarantees to workers who are fired by the state or transferred to another job, places that match their expertise. Regarding state operational costs, things that can be done by the state are by budgeting arrangements and also giving priority programs to certain things related to AI. So we'll go to future sector monitoring. My friend will explain this.
From the previous explanation, we can see that with the government's desire to develop and catch up with the use of service in the use of AI, we see that there are 10 future signal monitoring of them. First, there is a desire to present a system of bureaucratic simplification as desired by President Joko Widodo. Second, there is a statement from BRIN that the government and society must be ready to face the development of artificial intelligence. So, there is a desire by the government to make efficiency and effectiveness of public service to the community. So the human resource that Indonesia has are sufficient, and there is a government desire to use AI in the creative economy. So there is government optimism in the civil servant downsizing program, and the use of AI as a public health facility is accepted to reduce the risk of virus transmission and etc. Of the 10-week signal, the scenario that very close to happening is the favorable scenario, which in this scenario is government rally. In this scenario, the government really wants to accelerate the application of artificial intelligence in people's life. Especially, this is encouraged in public service. Changes in people society conditions supported by the technological development can also influence government decisions, and the number of weak signals that have been seen can be practically empirical that the second scenario entailed favorable scenario is a scenario that is very likely to occur in Indonesia.
Thank you very much, and for wrap up our discussion now, I would like to highlight some of our discussion. From first that we explaining with introductions, and we explaining what the key focal issues, which is key focal issues is does the government should shift to the artificial intelligence in order to giving much better service to the people, and we have been elaborate and giving narrative to you about what is going on in the future, and we provide 4 scenarios that could be happen, and due to many information that have been really specific on one scenarios, so which is the scenarios favorable. That's why we think that is the main things that could be occur in the future, and the thing and why we choose that, because some narratives say that some narratives have collective narrative from other government officials. Also, the President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, said that they want to be really fostering this artificial intelligence, and government have their own research on this, and they agree together to accelerate this into fostering the using of artificial intelligence in the lower public services. So thank you very much.